Hope you are well. Hope the last few days have been good to you and for you. We'll get to some of your messages. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. Lots to talk about. Good to see Mad Matt UK's back in. Good evening, Adrian. Good evening, everyone. It's great to be back in the body of the Kirk after a short absence. Where have you been, you wrong'un? I do hope you're well, Mad Matt. Good to have you back in the body of the Kirk. The bells are ringing out for double A, says Stuart. And GB Patriot was early doors. I think he's been trashing the body of the Kirk before everybody got in. Adrian, yeah, wrong'un. Did you notice Royal Press Office putting out supposed statement from Catherine, Princess of Wales? Wally, more like a lame attempt at deflection from the truth that she's not coming back. She's not. She's not. But we've hang on, let me write this down, because we do have theories. That, and that. I think I've already written it down, but I haven't been able to. Things are busy. Haven't been able to have a quick scan through the script, if you know what I mean. So, GB Patriot, you are guaranteed a little royal stuff this evening. And maybe more, because I'm hearing stuff. So, in a little while. Roy Gordon says, good afternoon, Your Eminence. Blimey, the sun's over the yard arm. Afternoon, Your Honour. Good evening, young Roy. Good afternoon, Your Eminence, and everyone else in the body of the Kirk. Today, I will put the Battenberg out. Are we going to mention that absolute shower of shite, the government, and that D-Day fiasco? That's why we need industrial strength Battenberg, because we can smell the brown stuff from the government a mile away. Tom Murray says, so sad to hear about Michael Mosley. Yes, we will talk about that in just a little while. Michael, actually, well, I'll save it for a little later, because Michael does have a connection to the channel. Seaside says, oh, sorry, Adrian. Can't make it today. Beautiful 72 Fahrenheit here on the seaside of Vancouver Island. Oh, seaside, Vancouver is one of my favourite places in the world. Obviously, we went skiing in Whistler, the new Mrs. Allen and I, and we went from, what's it called, from sea to sky. We ran the road from Vancouver. I spent my birthday in Vancouver, and I have a dear friend that lives in the suburbs of Vancouver, and it is one of my favourite places. So, seaside, I'm jealous a little bit. I must go and enjoy it. Catch you on the rerun, because I'm sure it's going to be interesting. Oh, you can bet your sweet Bibby, Seaside. To Rexan. Good evening, brethren. Looking forward to the Reverend's sermon this evening. Well, make sure you're in the pews, because this is a wide body of the Kirk. You can go in and sit on the left pews if you lean to the left. You can go to the right pews if you lean to the right. Or if you're a bit of a centrist, just sit in the middle. But make sure there's plenty of room for everybody else to get into the body of the Kirk. Please remember to donate to the Altar Boys Summer Day Out Fund. They're hoping to raise enough to see the erection of St. Paul's in London. I think it was done a few hundred years ago, Rexanne, but, you know, any magnificent erection is well worthy a trip. So, if anyone's feeling generous, get the choir boys out in London. Oh, my word, it'll just be carnage. Thank you, Rexanne. Stuart, evening, Adrian. Just having a coffee this evening and a sweet treat. You gave a hint. It ain't Battenberg, because an utter wrong'un put me off for life. Sorry about that, Stuart. Penny Hen, good evening, Adrian. Good evening, members of the congregation. Hope all is well. Well, it's better that everyone's attempting to get into the body of the Kirk. Yes, we're getting a few more. And don't forget to smash the likes on your way in, you wrong'un. Don't be wiping your feet on the way in. Make sure you smash the likes and then wipe your feet on the way out. Rusty Mouse says, Stuart, you're going to have to harden up. I think if he joins all the choir boys, as Rexanne has insinuated, that might just be happening with those errant choir boys. Andy Turner says, the Queen of Chat will be here soon. Oi, you're wrong'un. So I'm going to sit here and listen. I am fishing with me hot chocolate and marshmallow, and sorry to hear about Michael Mosley. Hang on a second. You're fishing? Like proper fishing? You've got your rod out and everything? Back to the choir boys again. Stuart, Rusty Mouse. Oh, it's the mental images. It's the I tend to agree. And Rusty Mouse says, oh, it can be a bit of a shock, Stuart. Napoleon blown apart. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. We've had Canada. We now have America. And Napoleon blown apart says, Xbox Games Showcase 2024 or Reverend Allen's Sunday Sermon. No contest. Thank you, Napoleon blown apart. I did see that trending number one on X, formerly Twitter, before I came on air. So I wonder what they're going to do. No, this is a PlayStation household, not Xbox. To Les Vogel says, good evening, Adrian. I thought I was trying to work out whether it was Top Gun, Les. Definitely. Good evening, Adrian. And fellow wrong'uns, did you get time to look at your questions from the body of the Kirk Wednesday, Rev? No. I wish. Can somebody have a word with the big grey bearded bloke upstairs and just say to him, can he kind of stick a couple of hours in of a day? Because it might just be a little helpful. I wish. But thank you for asking, Les. But do not worry. I will eventually. I've got them. I've managed to work out a way of getting them off YouTube fairly painlessly, and I am going to look through them. I promise. Looking forward to seeing you tonight, Reverend. Idea for the 100th meetup? Oh, they're coming. Bit like the choir boys again. Yeah, we've got a few ideas, but it's what is it? Another stabbing outside of a pub in a mass brawl. I see there's 9 being arrested for a stabbing, fatal stabbing. It is literally... I've said this before, we need an adult conversation around knife crime. We need an adult conversation. And these idiots that are going, oh, well, yes, well, we'll give the NHS more, and what else can we do? Oh, don't mention the I word, immigration. They're just idiots, man, and I'm gonna run through it, and I'm gonna give you some of the subtleties of these crooks. Rich says we need deterrent sentences. I think we need some hangings. To be fair, we need a deterrent where people are going to go. I'll say this now, and we'll get into it more deeply later. But I do believe that the kids are carrying knives because they want to feel safe because everybody else is carrying knives. But you know something? If you ever heard any of my Century 106 phone-ins or my Century phone-ins, I was predicting in 1998 because of immigration and Charles Linton Blair. I did say that they were importing knife crime. And look where we are now. Stabbing a day. Every day. And it's not just London anymore now. So the 9 people arrested was in Wales somewhere. I'm not quite sure where this mass brawl is, but there's always somebody with a sharp on them. But we will talk about it later, I promise you. To Viv Kenyon. Hello, Viv. She says, my pew ready. I'm in my pew, ready, willing and able, Rev. Oh, Viv, you tease. Nibbles and Battenberg sorted. Right. Get in the same pew as Vivian. She's got Battenberg. That's Viv in Darlow. What good to have you on board, Viv, in the body of the Kirk as always. Rusty Mouse says, Rev, when are you going to do a wedding in the church? Who's first? Well, technically, because of the what's the ministries? the ministry that I belong to. Technically, I can do one wedding. I think I do a couple of interring, if you know what I mean, deaths, and I can't remember what else. Universal Ministries, that was it. Universal Ministries. I'll have to have a look at my contract, see what I can do. But can you imagine doing a proper wedding online? In the body of the Kirk. It would have to dress it. Hang on a second. Rich says, I think we need some baptisms first. Hey, I know somebody that does it in the Thames. How can we do it in the body of the Kirk without blowing all the electrics up with all that water? Andrew James says, today's hymn is Jerry Reed, the PMS, I guess. Andrew, is that code for something? It's probably mucky, knowing Andrew. Rexanne says, Rusty Mouse, I believe the first wedding to be Russell Brand and his bride Anne Widdecombe, a true Christian union. Oh, that would be so funny. I'd have to wear double incontinence pants. I'd have to be double bagged. I just would wet myself laughing. Get No Defendant says, good evening, parishioners. Shall we sing hymn number 666? I thought that's what it says. Very funny. Very funny. Right. We're going to get into it, sort of. I think this evening, because we're going to do some very deep work, the sermon carries a lot of weight with it this evening. That's Miss Alabama again. Have you seen that? We'll be touching on it and cloth about Miss Alabama. Wouldn't like to be rugby tackled by her. Some of it's serious. I'm going to mention the legendary Battenbergers in a moment, but can we have some gags tonight? Should we be gag-tastic in the... let me just see if I can do that. Oh, I'm going to trash it. Oh, hang on. Yeah, that's a bit better. Yeah, well, let's have some gags. I'm going to say, and Stuart says, Adrian, your reaction to my mucky questions for Alexa was even funnier than Alexa's responses. Did Michael Mosley die the jibber jabber? No, but I am going to address that. What I tend to do is I tend to look at all of the news channels and the reportage and X and maybe a bit of Facebook, some of the socials before I come on air, just to kind of get the zeitgeist, just to get the what is happening. And no, it is very sad about Michael Mosley, but we will talk about that in just a couple of minutes. I think it was Pennine Counties. Wrexham. I forgot about them. Oh, we're having private conversations already, are we? To Matty PW, poor Thames pollution, then Russell Brand. I know, all those turds. To Popeye was there. Did Dr. Michael Mosley die of the jibber jabber? No. I am going to tell you in a moment what happened. But the next live is this coming Wednesday, the 12th of June. Where you can be regaled with flora and fauna. The body of the Kirk is sufficiently large, because we do like large sizes, everything, so I'm told. And the body of the Kirk is able to accommodate as many people as we care to invite. And the next live is Wednesday, the 12th of June. Just remember, it's 8 o'clock kickoff, so don't be late. You might not get a seat, and you won't get any Battenberg. And it's a little remiss of me. Where's Andrew James and the altar wine this evening? Have we missed that? Tom Murray says, an adult conversation about crime, full stop, needs to happen. I agree with you. Tom, I do agree with you. We will get there, because there's it's not necessarily an echo chamber, the theatre of the mind, but it does help people kind of get a grip of things. Back to the choir, boys. So remember, if you fancy, if you're a little more red than normal, you can go to the left-hand side of the pew, the body of the Kirk. If you are a bit more blue, you can go to the right-hand side of the body of the Kirk. But if you're a bit centrist, like me, you can go right down the middle. What else was I going to say? By the way, I did toast your health yesterday, because it was World Gin Day. And it just would have been very... one of the nuns very kindly left me a little gin snifter. So added a bit of tonic water. It was a fantastic tonic, to be fair. It gave me a proper lift. About 8 inches, if the truth be known. And I saluted you yesterday. World Gin Day 2024. Fabulous. Dan Brooker, good to have you back, Dan. Any tips on pulling off an interview about an ex-band and not wanting to be a dick about it, of what went on? Touching a nerve, but I don't want to gossip, but I do. Dan, what are you talking about, man? So you've been in a band, and have things gone the way of the normal band things? We're going to have you back in the body of the Kirk. To the legendary Battenbergers, the Bovril. He made a little donation, left a donation in the plate, and said it was towards the Church Battenberg Fund. We do need it. I'm wondering when the roof's going to cave in. We might have to have a roof fund, but any fund is always good. Thank you, the Bovril. To Rich, Rich just very kindly said, great show tonight. Thoughts to you and your family, Aid. Rich, I'll update you a little bit later. And to Jackie Glasgow for the sticker. Thank you, Jackie. We do love having a bit of a weege in the body of the Kirk because nobody can understand them. Can I just say, is DC in the house tonight? Retro, good to have you in. Ahoy, ahoy, Romans. Retro, good to have you in the body of the Kirk, my friend. Is DC in the body of the Kirk this evening? Just making sure, because I just want to wish DC well. No, I'll wait a little while, because DC's not so well. I do hope he's made it this evening, because he is a regular. And I just want to wish ex-football player Alan Hansen well, even though he's a Scot. I do wish him well. He's seemingly, the report hit the wires this afternoon that he's seriously ill in hospital. And that's not great to hear. I will. Oh, brilliant! Chip Atkinson. What did the Alabama graduate say to the Tennessee graduate? Welcome to McDonald's. May I take your order, please? I think you might have had to have more than 2 portions of chips and 2 burgers for the Alabama graduate. So a body has been found. It's been on the wires all day today. A body has been found, believed to be Dr. Michael Mosley, in a cave complex known locally as the Abyss. Now, the body was actually found by a camera crew that was, I think they were doing some recording with the local mayor. And it was the cameraman that saw something. He said he saw like an umbrella or something. And they went over, and he bizarrely used an iPhone to kind of zoom in, and they saw what looked like a body. It wasn't the search and rescue that found Dr. Mosley, but the man who found him and the area that he found Dr. Mosley in, he believes that Dr. Mosley possibly sat down in the heat and fainted and fell over a 10-foot drop into the water nearby. So it looks like Dr. Mosley was possibly walking in 37-degree heat. But as a doctor, he should have known. So it's a shame that the body of possibly Dr. Mosley has been found. Now, I will say that normally, unless there's been confirmation by a member of the family, the wires and the news agencies are normally, in these circumstances, are very gentle with their reporting. But I have to say, GB News, man, oi, oi, oi. So all the news agencies are saying a body's being found. GB News. Dr. Michael Mosley found dead. And you just like, hang on, lads, there's like his 4 kids and his wife's out in Greece, and you're just going straight in. That's not acceptable under any circumstances. Just have a bit of reverence, just have a bit of respect, just, a bit of integrity around. It's been a horrible, terrible accident, and you're just steaming in there. Retro said, I've worked in 65 degrees Celsius heat in the Gulf, and it does take its toll. I think from all the reportage that I'm reading in the newspapers and the live stuff I've seen on the wires today, it looks like that Dr. Mosley was capable, went out with his wife for the beach with a couple of others, and then has decided just to walk back to the hotel. And it may be that he's actually taken a wrong turn, and unfortunately he's obviously just sat down to catch his breath, I think, and then has possibly fainted. We don't actually know what's happened. Those there, let me just write that down. Thank you for the David Kelly. I think that Dr. Mosley has done the best thing and possibly sat down, but it's the fainting but more will come out in the newspapers tomorrow. I'm absolutely sure. It's a terrible thing, an awful tragedy for any family to deal with when it's the loss of a loved one, especially when the loved one happens to be in the public eye and has been for numerous years. They did say that they'd searched the whole island. There was over 100 rescuers looking for them, searching for Dr. Mosley. And they did say, we think he might be in the abyss, which is literally bottomless caves that the locals don't go anywhere near. But it's a crying shame that someone's lost their life on holiday. And I just hope there's no sensationalism in the newspapers tomorrow, because, you know, let's give them a break. It's a family that's now grieving the loss of a loved one, and they'll come back to the UK. They'll have to repatriate Dr. Mosley's body, obviously, and even though they, Claire, his wife, is also a doctor, even though they both worked with human beings, and death is a natural byproduct of that. It's not something that you want to have to deal with. Certainly a loved one, certainly a husband or even wife. Heat stroke is a terrible thing, says Ghetto Defendant. Used to see it in Qatar regularly. It is, and especially if you're light-skinned. I'm a ginge. I tend to stay out of the sun. I'm not that daft. But you know, from the pictures and the CCTV that we've seen, Dr. Mosley looked like he knew what he was doing, was wearing a baseball cap, was wearing like the Chinese. Have you noticed that a lot of the Chinese carry umbrellas with them in the heat? Because seemingly in China, which is part of a caste system, the more brown your skin, the more frowned it's looked upon, because you seem to be lower than the Chinese, which could evidently be viewed as racist, but that's just the Chinese. That's how they believe it works for them. So they all walk around with umbrellas, and Dr. Mosley was walking around, as we've seen from the CCTV, with a brolly. Yeah, sadly, Martin, we never get any heat stroke in the UK. Well, sometimes we do. It depends. I remember as a boy in senior school, comprehensive school, that I went out and there was a rope swing on a tree, and I'd been in the sun all day, and literally when I was swinging on the swing, blacked out and just plummeted about 20 or 30 feet into a ravine, into a tiny little stream. That hurt big time. So I think we have our moments, but remember the way that they are calculating the climate change in the UK. Nights are getting warmer because of the cloud cover. May was the hottest May on record. Retro, the way they're calculating it is the nighttime temperatures. It's not daytime temperatures, because everybody with May would have turned around and gone, that wasn't warm. In fact, I was wearing a jumper for most of May. Some people would go, well, it wasn't really sunny, was it? How? Because the nighttime temperatures weren't dropping as low as they normally do on average. And if you think about winter, yeah, it wasn't cold at all. So I don't buy into all this BS about climate change. I've told you before, back in the 80s, when they all told us we were going to die, we were going to suffer, we were going to die because there was a massive big hole in the ozone layer. And, well, chlorofluorocarbons, remember? Cows guff. And we were told, oh, it's the end of the planet, man. It's climate change, it's the ozone layer, and what happened? The ozone layer healed itself. So then they had to change it from what they were calling it back then to climate change. So it's not the heat, but hang on. Retro saying there's been a 1.5 degree increase since 1890. Blimey, Retro, is that how long you've been around? I'm teasing you. Somebody commented about Dr. David Kelly. His papers have been sealed. Is that a D notice, or no? It's not a D notice. What is it? It's a bit like, was it Thomas Hamilton, the shooter in Scotland who killed all the kids? And his papers have been sealed for 100 years. And I think there's also something about the Queen Mum. I think some of her papers have been sealed for 200 years or something, obscene like that. So I don't know why on earth would they stop Dr. David Kelly's papers coming out. They're obviously up to something. Let's get to... I want you to... Well, I don't want you to do anything. You're a free spirit. You can do anything you want. But I'm watching, personally, how the press are reporting Dr. Michael Mosley's sad demise and story, because it has gripped the nation. It was when he went missing the other day, we were told, no, he went for a walk at 1:30, didn't return back to the hotel by 7:30. His wife, Claire, reported the authorities quite rightly. And I think everyone was sort of living in hope. Well, the saying I was going to mention earlier was, it's best to travel in hope than arrive disappointed. And everyone was hoping that it would be okay. He was just maybe trying to stay out of the heat of the day in Greece. Hang on. President Macron dissolves the French Parliament and calls snap elections as he faces heavy defeat in the Euro elections. Oh, my word. So the French are at it. The French are getting it. President Macron, Emile Macron, he's done a rishi. Was he standing outside in the rain when he's done that? So he's dissolved the French Parliament and has called snap elections. Is that like a ginger snap? Have a word with his husband. Oh, did I say that out loud? Hang on, just let me get rid of that so I can see what I'm doing. At least he can find solace in the arms of his teacher. Oh yeah, she's like massively older than him, isn't she? And she taught him. Young Emile. But some people are saying she's a bloke. How does that work? Have they got kids? Being facetious. Don't think they have. The experts will tell me. Angelic Inspirations says the earth isn't warming, it is cooling. Thank goodness I'm a northern boy. I bloody hate the heat. Hate it. Can't be doing with it. I prefer it when it's ice cold. I prefer it when it's like -50 outside, so I can walk about in my t-shirt. You think, honestly, you think we northerners, I know we're stereotypes, but like, anything over 10 degrees, far too warm for me. I remember going to Davos one year, and the snow outside was like 3 foot deep, and I was like, oh, deep joy. I might just walk about me mankini and flip-flops, scare the locals. And I was intent on doing it, just to prove a point. Bloody shandy drinking southerners, man. To Alan, it was mildly moist today. You lucky bugger, Alan. To Stuart, I love the cold as well. Yeah, me too. Me too. There's nothing better than going out in fresh, cold air and then coming back indoors and feeling the heat warm you through. It's fabulous. Let's continue. I wanted to say this, and I'll sort of, without you distracting me, and remember, I'm looking for, we're gag-tastic tonight. That's not in a gimp sort of way. That's like jokes. If you've got any half-decent jokes, recent jokes, stick them in the chat. Because I think we may need some later on in this particular live. Now, the top story of the week is, it's the idiot. It's the rich boy. He's turned the whole country against him in one fell swoop, in one couple of hours on, was it Thursday afternoon, Wednesday? Thursday. So this is the Prime Minister of a country, and he's turned the whole country against him. That's no mean feat. I mean, we've had Blair and Brown and John Major. Well, John Major wouldn't. He was just be like clubbing a baby seal to death. But, we've had some proper wrong-uns as Prime Ministers. Thatcher. But we've done polls on this channel before, and Thatcher comes out as your favourite Prime Minister of the last 40 years. But if you think that the D-Day commemorations, that's possibly the biggest story of the week, and the sad demise of Dr. Michael Mosley. But let me just offer you this. A bit like the Titanic sub, it was the only story for 4 or 5 days worldwide. The only story. Remember 9/11? Oh, good day to bury bad news. So I don't know whether the way that I'm seeing what's going on with Slippery Sunak, as Nigel Farage called him on Friday night, they need something to distract us. They need something to. I mean, they're done, and I am going to talk at some length about what these MPs and politicians are doing, because they're a joke, man. They're a joke. They're as thick as pig shit, and they're a joke. Now, I do know that some of the backbenchers work really hard for their constituents, but when you've... Stop distracting me. I'll get there. After I just want you to consider this. The Dr. Michael Mosley story and sad demise, as I say in Greece. Everyone is being distracted. And now they'll get the press to bury the D-Day fiasco story. I don't think the country will stand for that. I don't think the country will forget that. I don't think the country will forgive him. Say sorry. Oh, you mealy-mouthed arse. So you're just going to say, I'm sorry. Well, Rishi, mate, Foxtrot Oscar, we're not interested. Nobody's interested. Everybody that I speak to said it was a horrible thing, a disgusting thing, a terrible thing that he did. So here, rich boy, go to your counting house, start counting your money, but we've got your game now. We know what you're up to. We know what you're up to. And I will tell you my theory on that idiot of a man. Now, he can't be that thick, because him and his missus have got nearly £1 billion between them. Not Rishi, obviously. It's not his money. It's got nothing to do with him. He's a straight up and down politician who's made 120 million in the last year. Wish I was a penny behind his arse. But just like the Titan sub story, everyone is distracted. And I keep saying to you, if it happens before 5 o'clock on a Friday evening, they leave it until Monday morning. Now, the reason why there was a huge rumour swirled round Westminster this morning was because it was printed in one of the papers, and I was it was Nadine Dorris's X account that published this and said that there were strong rumours that Rich Boy was going to fall on his sword. My word, is it that big? So he was going to fall on his sword, and everybody went, ooh, yeah, that's about right. Yeah, he deserves that. That's about right. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a schwally. So over this weekend, especially with the Michael Mosley story today, everyone is distracted from what Rich Boy did on Thursday. And I will give you my theories. But I do think that the nation will be saddened by this. I do hope that the mainstream media, breaking Israeli War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz, yeah, I'm going to talk about that in just a little while. He's resigned. He wasn't happy this week. He's resigned. Let me stay with Dr. Michael Mosley's story. As I say, I think there'll be a lot of people in the media, there'll be a lot of people who saw him in his articles in the newspapers, and some of the diet stuff that he's done with his wife. His wife is the dietitian, not him. He's just the front man. And I will tell you that I recorded an interview with Professor Roy Taylor from Newcastle University. And Professor Roy Taylor has for decades been working and trying to get people to understand with type 2 diabetes that if you manage it, the 800 calorie diet that seemingly Michael Mosley found Bullshit. Bullshit. And don't excuse my language, because I'm going to give you facts. I did Professor Roy Taylor's 800 calorie diet to reverse my type 2 diabetes. And I reversed it. My own GP, and this was back in 2016, my own GP looked at my results and went, nearly swore, and it was the Foxtrot. It was, Foxtrot, hell. Mr. Allen, your blood sugars have come down quite dramatically. So I'd known of Professor Roy Taylor's 800 calorie diet using meal supplements for 2011, 2010, 2011. And it was only when my blood sugars were literally catastrophic. And my GP says, look, I'm going to have to give you metformin because you're either going to have a heart attack or a stroke walking out of this surgery. And I was like, no, I'll do the Newcastle diet. Now, considering this was my GP surgeries in Chesterley Street, and considering it was, I said, no, I'll do the Newcastle diet. The doctor, you can spit from Chesterley Street to Newcastle. And the GP said to me, what's that? I said, well, it's an 800 calorie diet that Professor Roy Taylor from Newcastle University's Resonance Centre is promulgating because it reverses type 2 diabetes. And then, oh my Lord, if everybody else, including Dr. Michael Mosley, jumped on the bandwagon. And they were all like, yeah, we're doing this and we're doing this and we're cutting carbs down. And yeah, we're doing this and we're doing this and we're doing this. And oh, somebody else has got the 800 calorie diet. And I'm so glad that may have been the Mail or the Times actually credited Professor Roy Taylor, because he's a very unassuming but very clever man. And for decades, he's been trying to get people to just moderate portion size, amount, calorific, moderation, and I did it. Now this is a little aside. I will continue more with Michael Mosley, but just in case you wanted to know, maybe you're pre-diabetic, or maybe you are type 2 diabetic and you struggle with doing and getting your type 2 diabetes under control. It's lifestyle. That's all it is, lifestyle. Wow, UK diabetic nurse gave us type 2 wrong info. We must give up carbs. Oh, I agree, Retro, but there's a lot of, there are a lot of things that also carry the carbs. I don't eat bread. Mostly. I definitely don't eat pizza and pasta. I do on the odd occasion, just to give myself a treat. And look, so I'll get back to Professor Roy Taylor. So I went to, spoke to my doctor. He agreed, but he still wanted me to take metformin. So I went and cashed the prescription and got my metformin. And I've got it as a badge of honour because I've never taken it. I'm not taking that shite. Not that I don't believe, let me qualify this. Medicines help, but a change in lifestyle helps more. So I talked to my GP about Dr. Roy Taylor's diet. I went to a pharmacy in Chesterley Street, and I went into the pharmacist and I said, look, I'm trying to get this particular meal supplement because the meal supplement was from America that Professor Taylor used. And I said, how much would it cost? So they came back and says, for 3 months, it'll cost you 600 quid. I was like, oh, thanks very much. My doctor's surgery will pay that. Hold the note. I'll come back to you. So I went to see my GP and I said, yeah, it'll cost about 600 quid, 200 quid a month for the meal supplements that Professor Roy Taylor used. And they just looked at me and went, gulp, we're not paying that. So I do Professor Taylor's. I used Slim Fast, bizarrely. And I did the diet. There was a point about 4 weeks in. It was a 3-month lifestyle change. And 4 weeks in, there was a day where my employers were looking after me. They gave me time. They wanted me to succeed because my blood sugars were over 120. They were catastrophic. And 4 weeks in, I ran every day. I did exercise. I curtailed a whole load of calories, only 800 a day. And I was getting up and I was doing intermittent fasting. I was doing 16/8 intermittent fasting. So I stopped eating well before 8 o'clock in an evening, and I didn't eat until after lunchtime. So in essence, it's just cutting out your breakfast. And I would run every day. I would run a couple of miles every day, but I built up over the weeks. And then 4 weeks in, I just thought I was dying. I felt absolutely horrid. And all I could do, I lived on my own at that time. All I could do was just lie on my sofa. And I didn't know what was going on because I lived on my own. It was, I didn't have anybody living with me or in my life at that point. But my work colleagues just kind of knocked on the door and went, "Oi, Rongan, how's things?" But this afternoon, I just had to lie on the sofa after 4 weeks of doing the diet. And I guarantee you, literally the weight drops off you. I went in after 4 or 5 weeks to see my work colleagues, and they were like, "Oh, Skinny Millie, where did you come from?" Well, I'm eating next to out, and I'm working out. But this Sunday afternoon, I had no energy. I couldn't do anything. So I just thought, I'll have an early night. I got up on the Monday morning, didn't feel too bad. And I thought, I haven't got any strength. I haven't got any energy to do a run. So I didn't. I literally slept again until the Tuesday morning. And the Monday into the Tuesday, I felt wretched. I felt awful. I thought that I couldn't, my head was all over, spinning all over. It was groggy, it was woolly. And I just thought, what is going on? And then on the Tuesday, I woke up right as rain. So I believe at that point, that was the sugars. That was my body dealing with the sugars. And literally for the next 8 weeks, it just flew. And I lost over 50 pounds in weight. Hang on, what's Tablock Tracy saying? I went on the Vindaloo diet. I lost 16 kilos and 3 friends. Very good. Obviously, that's what President Joe Biden's been on this last week. President Poopy Pants. So after 12 weeks, my blood sugars were back within diet control range from being catastrophic. So what I did was I used intermittent fasting. I used the Wim Hof method, which is just controlled breathing. I worked out, and it was just I couldn't recommend it more to anyone. But then I find that Michael Mosley had a book out, The 800 Diet. It's like, hang on a second, I know where that's just come from. It kind of gave Professor Taylor a credit, but I guarantee you, it sold millions of books. And so I got in contact with Michael Mosley via his social media. Got in contact and said, look, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is the YouTube channel. This is my background is in media for the last 40 years. I would like to interview you, please, if we could. Didn't even give me the decency of a response. So public face is not necessarily the same as the private face. Because I didn't get a kiss my arse and a nothing from that man. Not that I'll hold grudges, as I say. My heart goes out to Dr. Michael Mosley's wife and children. That's only right and proper. His wife's Dr. Claire Bailey. As I say, there was 100 rescuers trying to find Dr. Mosley. And it's very sad that it's ended up being a sad ending to the story. He appears to have lost his bearings and direction and has sat down in the heat after however long, after a few hours, and has fainted and fallen 10 feet from the cliff edge into the water or onto the rocks, because the cameraman saw him. Not the rescuers. I think his family were only 350 feet from him, from where he was discovered. So terrible tragedy, awful. But please, just be aware, like the Titan sub-story, it's going to obliterate everything tomorrow. I don't even know how we could support the family. But as I say, please look up Google Professor Roy Taylor. There are some wonderful videos of Professor Taylor's work on YouTube. So if you are pre-diabetic or actually type 2 diabetic, Professor Taylor's work is extraordinary. It's groundbreaking. It's been around. I've been aware of it for 15 years. So, and I credit Professor Roy Taylor for saving my life. I mean, even now, I'll have a bit of pasta. And Professor Taylor, I spoke to him recently, and he just said, look, Adrian, if you eat something that you shouldn't eat, then just fast. So I'll either do a 16-8. I'm looking at doing what Dana White from the UFC's done. He sometimes does a 36-hour fast. He'll do a 72-hour fast. I'm going to try some of those to see how my body reacts. And today I went to the gym for the first time in a long time, because I have said that I'm going to do, we'll have to try and work it out, but I'll do it for some kind of charity. I'm going to run the half marathon, the Great North Run. Again, I ran the Great North Run for the very first time in 1983. I was 2-year-old. Before you say anything, you're wrong. I'm going to try and run it. So long as I get the training in, so long as my body's able to carry me around. And the last time I ran the Great North Run would have been 2014. So it's at least 10 years since I last did the Great North Run. And my work colleagues were taking bets to see at which point on the route I was going to have a heart attack. Thankfully, survived it. But it's in September, so I've started training again. But I'll let you know how I get on. How good old chunky butt it becomes a little more slimmer around the beam, as they say. Don't forget, staying with sport-ish. I think the Euros start. Not the Euros. Trying to think which athletics meetings just started, but the Euros, the footy, starts next Friday. Now, I'm going to ask now to sort of give me a steer, because I think we have 3 options here. England's first match, it's next Sunday at 8 o'clock. So I want to know, 1 for yes. Hang on a second. You're going to have to type now, so you'll all become keyboard warriors. I want to know, do you want me to do a live at 8 o'clock next Sunday whilst the England match is on? Yeah, 1 for yes, 2 for no. Oh, the European Athletics. Thank you, Louise. Should I host a live on Sunday, 16th? Now, I suppose it depends how much you like the footy. It's a load of people are saying, ooh, it's a mixed bag. Lots of 1s, a few 2s. Rich says no. Andy Turner's always saying 3. I'm sure it's code for something. So, okay, let's stop that particular vote, you wrong uns. So, a lot of people, quite a few people, are saying yes. And I did get a complaint earlier today where somebody said, wrong un, you keep asking us for this, that and the other and polls, but you never give us the results. Well, me eyeballs can only go so fast. Jackie Budden, you're wrong un. I think that's the first. Oh, by the way, any newbies? On me. Saying 4. I'm not quite sure what 4 means. I'll be interested. So, you want me to do a live on Saturday. So here's the second question. Stop all the votes, because here's the second question. You know it's not that easy, and you know I'm a complex kind of guy, but here's the thing. Do I do a live and do a bit of football commentary while I'm doing the live? Now that's definitely multitasking. But I can get it on the screen in front of me, because this is what some radio stations, I won't name them, but this is what some radio stations would do. They didn't have the license to be able to do commentary on certain football matches. But if it was on the telly, they'd get, hang on, okay, I'll wait till YouTube has settled itself down. But so some radio stations, they used to sit there and have their reporters watch the telly and commentate on what they could see on the telly. And people at home thought they were at the match. Just get some atmosphere off the feed, put that underneath the reporter and have them just sit there with a microphone reporting on what they could see on the telly. What? Rich says, can you arrange a live as the votes come in on election night? Oh, Rich. God, you're making me work for me money. Yeah. Actually, that would be fabulous, wouldn't it? Adrian, start the live at 8:15. England will be losing by then. Thank you, Chris Mundy. Yeah, wrong. Mind you, they lost against Iceland. Oh, the only thing I was... and it's not the shop, Iceland. The only thing that I was looking forward to was the Icelandic supporters giving it... Whoa! I'm not sure if they did, because I was watching the Magnificent Seven on the telly, talking utter Rolex. Football is a big problem. Is a bog problem? Polly, I think you meant big problem in this country. It's a distraction. So, now that the votes have settled down, do I do a live and commentate on the footy? Do you want to know what's going on with the footy during the live? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Do you want me to have it on, so to speak, and just oh, I say, what oh? Okay. Right then. I shall do a live next Sunday, because there was loads of ones and everybody's saying, no. Stuff that, Adrian. So, okay. I get the hint. Jackie Budden. No football, but yes to election night special. Right then. I'll wait till that's calmed down. And it was Richard that suggested it. Jackie's now said it's a good idea. So the polls close 10 o'clock. I mean, what? How? Oh, that could be a sponsored live YouTube stream. Right. Do you want me to do a live election special? I didn't ask you. I was asking the people watching the live stream, you're wrongin'. Hang on a second. Do a live. You can't have us being bored on a Sunday night, you're wrongin'. Yes, Joe. All right, then I'll do a live. Let me just get rid of that. And right then. But here's the rub. I'm only going to do a live on election night if you're all here with me. Because I'm not having any of that, I had to go to bed, Adrian. Yeah, I was feeling a bit knackered. I've been out running marathons that particular day. So, yeah, all right. I'll do it. I have done live. I did it for BBC Radio Cleveland in the Northeast. The government had decided that they wanted to run a regional government. Hitler's work. He was the guy that sorted it. You think I'm wrong? So Hitler's work, he wanted to have regional government across Europe. So Tony Blair et al. Are simply doing the fascists' work. Oh, he can't, Adrian. He was, Prime Minister. He was Labour Prime Minister. Rich, I think you definitely have, my friend. So we'll kind of do it so long as you're here, and I think because Sunderland always declare first, don't they? It's always a race between Sunderland and Newcastle. I think I'll do it until I'll have a look at it. I'll see what the timing can be, but I think after 2 o'clock I'm going to be carried out by nurses on a stretcher. So we'll have a look at it, see what we can do, and we'll do the best that we can do. You can pop cherries on election night, Aid, just in case. So there's the footy. That's election night. Can't believe I've been coerced into that. Should we talk Royals for 5 minutes? Simply because I looked at the... Kenny Everett and the American general that's got like 20 million medals across his front that he used to have, the character. I can't remember what he was called. Mind you, he could be called General Election. And I've had a great idea for election night. Let me just write this down. So in the Northeast, they were doing an election, but it was kind of a poll, and people went to the poll to decide whether they wanted a regional assembly. Now, the government, or Europe, had built the regional assembly. They already had the building built before everybody voted. And everybody in the Northeast just went, here, Foxtrot Oscar. So millions were wasted. They were wasted on a building. They'd built the building, they'd kitted it out, thinking everybody was going to rubber stamp having a regional assembly. And because the people of the Northeast told them to Foxtrot Oscar, that's why they didn't go to anywhere else in the country, because they didn't think that if the Northeast said no, then anybody else was going to say yes. So that's why you don't have regional assemblies now, because you were going to, but the people of the Northeast told them to Foxtrot Oscar. And we did a live kind of election night. We were flip-flopping between the main on-air studio, and I was in a massive sound studio in BBC Radio Cleveland, interviewing the great and the good. And there were some right uppity tarts who thought they were Johnny Big sphericals. And there was loads of them that I just, I'll be careful how I word this, but I nailed them on air, if you know what I mean. And I upset a few people because, people in politics, they've got massive egos. And if you prick their pomposity, they're not happy about it. And there was one guy who just wouldn't let up. He wouldn't let up all night. And it got to about 1 o'clock in the morning. We'd been on air about four or 5 hours. And he just wouldn't let up. He was at it. So I thought, well, we're going to have a ritual slaughter on air. So I engaged him on air and literally ripped him, metaphorically and verbally, limb from limb. Oh, did he complain to the managers? And I was like, I wasn't having it. He was picking that person apart and that person apart, and there was no integrity to the person. I'm not going to identify who it was, but some of my work colleagues loved it because I wasn't going to play by the rules, and the rules were: you start picking on other people that might not be able to verbally assail you, I'll do it on their behalf. And I did. I think I've still got the recording somewhere. Yeah. I don't know why I said that. I've lost my train of thought because I wrote two words down. So yeah, we'll do it on election night. It'll amuse all the Japanese. I was going to talk about the general with these medals, Kenny Everett, and these royals wearing medals. I mean, what the actual? So they wander about. They obviously have Oniswa Kimali Pons, the Order of the Garter, around the neck, or something that somebody else has given to them, which it looks very nice, and it's a little collarette that they wear. It dangles here, and King Charles. Have you noticed how his fingers have slimmed down? Is that the kind of what is going on with his cancer treatment, or whatever treatment he's having? It slimmed his fingers down. I mean, that boy had proper porky sausage fingers, but now they're looking pretty good. So he might actually be in better health. Hang on. Amalia says they look the same to me. Oh, I should have gone to Specsavers. I should have been wearing me gogs. Where's the gags tonight? You're wrong. No jokes, no gags. God blimey, tough audience. So I was looking at the royals and the medals, and I was thinking to myself, what is all that about? Is it just pomposity? Is it just Viagra injections? Who said that? Alan, very good. Is it just like they go, I've got medals? It's like, oh yeah, lads. Which theatre of war did you operate in then? They haven't, obviously. So if it's like Ginger Sphericals or Peggy Sue, it's, what was it, Silver Jubilee, Diamond Jubilee, Golden Jubilee, Diamond Jubilee. I mean, were they around for the Silver Jubilee? That was 77. So they've got like 3 medals from the Queen because they can wear them. And then they've got the collarette for, I don't know whether it's the Order of the Garter or it's the Order of the Bath or the Sink Plug or Forset from 1935. That's the taps, by the way. And I have no idea, but I know they'll wear 4 or 5 of them. I mean, I know King Charles was Didn't he skip some kind of frigate or something in the Royal Navy? Ram bam and backy, darling. Didn't he? He was the skipper of a military boat, and William's been a helicopter pilot. But the only one that can genuinely wear a military medal is the miscreant that shags, well, Jeffrey Epstein's friend, shall we? So he should have gotten a medal for his Falklands War. You know, the fact that he can't sweat because he had bombs and missiles chucked at him. No wonder he doesn't sweat. But I tell you what, I bet it was a cure for his constipation. But he's the only one genuinely that can wear his Falklands medal. The only theatre that any of them's been in. So it was silver, gold, and diamond jubilee. Nothing for active military service. And there's poor little Ginger Sphericals in America. He's wearing medals that belong to or purport to be the Queen. And they walk about as if they're, Johnny Big Sphericals, and they're not. They've not been to a theatre of war. Don't be stupid. Oh, Harry, the PlayStation warrior. Yeah, absolutely. But do you know, this week, it was a bit of a surprise, but there's been legal tender released with King Charles's face on it. I mean, to be fair, it's not the first time I've seen a tenner with Charlie on it. I've got a feeling some of in the body of the Coke may need that explained to them. It's radio, darling. And there's Catherine, Princess of Wales. She's honorary Colonel-in-Chief to Cox Kate. According to the Windsors, the Channel 4 TV series, she wrote a lovely letter apologising to the words, and I'm paraphrasing-ish. Sorry, chaps, sorry to miss out on the Colonel's review of the Irish Guards and their Trooping the Colour dress rehearsal. Sorry, chaps, couldn't make it. Otherwise, engaged. I think you find she's married. Oh, I've had a little mishap. It's an age thing. Otherwise, so glad the script saved it. So Catherine says, I do hope I am able to represent you all again very soon. Sorry. A, emphasis on the wrong syllable, and B, my syntax was crap. I do hope I am able to represent you all once again very soon. Oh, lovely. Who wrote that then? Willie? Peggy Sue? Or was it Charlie? Oh. Hang on. I do hope I haven't dropped liquid on my keyboard so it all goes a bit big dong this evening. Yeah, as Stuart says, how long is soon? Well, that letter, unless she's daubed a bit of perfume on, but even that's not kosher. It was woolly, it was vague, there was no explanation. So they're crisis managing whatever is going on. Now, we don't know what's going on. Is she dead? Genuinely. Is she dead? Is she divorced? Because William, Prince of Wales, said the other day that little Charlotte was she couldn't come with him. I can't remember where it was. It wasn't the D-Day. I think it was somewhere else on Thursday or Friday. He said, no, she's not here. She's got an exam. And I thought to myself, hang on a second. How many 9-year-olds do you know taking exams? Exactly. 0. So I did a bit of background checking and thought, well, it could be tests. She could be sitting tests over the summer. But that would be pretty convenient. So, is her mum dead? Are they getting divorced? Big Willie Styles a bit upset about everything? Because a lot of people I'm not necessarily buying into this, but you probably will be aware. There's the Thomas Kingston affair that nobody's really got to grips with. But at the very beginning of all of this, I know GB Patriot was one, and there was quite a few other members of the body of the Kirk. We sort of got to a zeitgeist, a collective thinking, which was it's possibly something to do bowel-wise, and she's possibly having to wear a stoma bag or have a stoma bag fitted. So the problem with what the royal family do and the sort of the women of the royal family do, it's all about fashion. It's all about trying to support them, our fashion industry in this country. So maybe, hang on a second. Terry Walkfit says, and Terry's good for a bit of info, says, no, she isn't dead or divorced. They both have to be recorded within the Public Records Office. Even royals can't get around that. Well, I agree with you, Terry, but the royals can get around it by not telling anybody she's carked it. And divorced? I mean, this is a royal family. They can do anything they want, apart from they don't want to get shot by the Marxists and the communists, as the Russian royal family did. No, blimey, 100 years ago now. Over 100 years. So the other question that I have is, it's nearly 170 days since she's last been seen. And they're just kind of styling it out. They're not really doing anything. They're not giving us any succor. They're not giving us any support or kind of guidance. They're saying, no, she's got cancer. She hasn't got bloody cancer. That's not what you said in January. You said she was going to have an operation. She was going to have an abdominal operation. And whatever was taken out, whether it was a child or bowels or something, they haven't told us what it is. But we were told that she had precancerous cells. So the chemo is precautionary. So why keep her out of the public view for 170 days? If it's serious, and I will reiterate, in my view, I wish all of the members of the royal family a long life. I wish them wonderful health and a long life. But the letter, I felt, was written by a PR. Wasn't written by... I haven't seen it, so I can't say whether she signed it or not. That would be interesting. If they don't show you the letter, would somebody fake a signature? Nah, I don't think that's stupid. Mind you, the AI video... Because look, if you just look at what we've been offered and presented with, we have Catherine seemingly well and wandering around Windsor Farm shop carrying bags. So if she's gone to Windsor Farm shop and she can carry bags, then she's fit enough to make a public appearance. Unless, of course, the girl in the Windsor Farm shop video was a doppelganger. She looked skinny enough. I mean, you can't trust anything that you see online. Thank you, Terry. Disassembling. The cells weren't checked until after they were removed during the operation. No one realised she had what she had until the cells were examined. I agree with you, Terry. I completely agree with you. But they told us that the chemo was precautionary. So they found precancerous cells in whatever they've taken out. We don't know what that is. I mean, one of the outlandish rumours is that Kate could have been pregnant with Thomas Kingston's child. Have you heard that one doing the rounds? Now, people are going to speculate. They are just going to speculate. Whether it's right or wrong, they're just going to speculate. Because again, we're not being told anything that we can have corroborative evidence for. We've had the last 4 years where people say that we were lied to. We were told one thing and actually reality was completely different. And that's why a lot of people are so distrusting of anybody in any kind of authority now. hang on a second. Or Orchidia, who's Thomas Kingston? Thomas Kingston was the son-in-law of the Duke of Kent, the Duke and Duchess of Kent. He married their daughter. He was, I'll just say, a money man. He was also a military negotiator, was very highly thought of, very successful. And he was at his parents' home, and he was found with a catastrophic head wound. That's how they've described it. And a gun was lying nearby. That's how they've described it. Literally within 48 hours, the coroner wrapped it up and just got that away, kicked it into the long grass. So you won't hear anything for a few years. Now, ordinarily, there would be a police investigation. Why wasn't that closed off and a crime scene instigated? Because the police should genuinely look after that as a crime scene until they can corroborate that it was suicidal. And the only way they can corroborate that is via a note or a letter. So there's still many unanswered questions that anybody with any knowledge would know that something doesn't just sit right. And most people now, are operating from instinct rather than intellect. And most people are saying, actually, there is something just doesn't feel right. So Catherine hasn't been seen for 170 days. This letter's come out. So we've had the AI video, we've had the photoshopped picture, and now we've got a letter from some palace PR, and we have no idea who's written that letter. None. She's the honorary colonel-in-chief, and yet, sorry lads, can't make it, otherwise engaged. So what are you doing then, Catherine? You're the colonel-in-chief. Just go and, give the lads a bit of a G up for trooping the colour. So here's a question I've got for you. Don't know whether you'll be able to answer this. Don't know whether you've got any inside insight or anything. But I vaguely remember the last trooping of the colour where all the kids were on a balcony looking out the window because William was trooping the colour on behalf of his dad. Remember? The last one. And all of William's kids were there cheering Daddy on. Remember that? So are they going to be there this time? Because there's two of them we haven't seen. Little Louis and Charlotte. Now, we're told that Charlotte couldn't make it because she was exams. And then he kind of changed the wording of that and said, no, it's tests. So let's see. Trooping of the colour. It's not far away. And if they're not there, then I would say to you, knowing what I know and working in the British media for 40 plus years, there's a rabbit away. Absolutely guarantee you. So if Willie stood in for his dad last year, his dad, who's not very well, it's been corroboratively answered that the king has got cancer, but he's being treated for it. So if the king can make it, and he's confirmed, or people on his behalf have confirmed that he's got cancer of the prostate. However, cough. Let's see the kids. Let's have them on the balcony. Because if there's two of them missing, questions are going to be asked. 170 days and those kids have not been seen either. Two of them. Future king. That's why they travel on separate jets, on separate transport systems, wherever they go anywhere. Because they don't want two kings taken out if the plane crashes. So that's why William will travel separately to Charles. William and Charles will never travel on the same plane or helicopter ever because they protect the royal and the monarchy. So the same with little George. The minute that his dad becomes king, George and William will never travel the same way. It's the same on Friday. You know that William was the usher at Duke of Westminster, Duke of something or other, some multi-billionaire. So this the marriage of the multi-billionaire friend of both William and Catherine, yet no explanation as to why the kids weren't there. Now, the kids are royal. They're impeccably behaved no matter where they go. And there was somebody says, oh yeah, it's just friends. Well, why didn't they have the kids at the wedding? William was there. He was an usher. He would have got the kids to sit there, do as they're told. They've got staff. That's what they have staff for. Don't have servants. There's staff. Terry says, hate to piss on this bonfire. The kids have been at school and nursery as normal. Go on then, Terry. What proof have you got? Because I would suggest you haven't, unless you've seen them with those. How do you know? Same as the letter from Catherine. How do we know she's written it? Behave. No. Now, if they have had tests, if they've been at school and have been doing tests, I mean, little Louis, he's not going to be doing tests. Blimey. He's just, was he 4 or 5 year old? He'd be trying to see if he can pee up the wall the furthest. At that age, he's not taking tests, man. And the Trooping the Colour is on a Saturday. Even private schools don't take tests on a Saturday. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the royal kids, the Prince and Princess of Wales' children, George, Louis and Charlotte, waving at Daddy while he's trooping the colour. Oh, Brovrel says, perhaps the royals are winding up the press. Yeah, well, I think you'll find that what the royals are doing is they're saying to the press, don't print anything. Because you would imagine that William being at the wedding of somebody who technically could be richer than his dad, and that would take some. But I have said that the royals have got art and jewels and stuff that are priceless, so you can't spend enough money to buy them. But if Willie can go, why couldn't his missus and his kids? Hang on a second. How did I know the woman at the farm shop was a Royal Protection Officer who bears a passing resemblance to the Princess of Wales? Well, we had people in the current bun saying, oh, it was definitely her. Yes, I saw her. Yes, I saw her. It was definitely Catherine. No, it wasn't. Let's ask her. That one. Now, yes, I know that you have a great insight, Terry, a wonderful insight that I always revere and respect and love interacting with. But this time, we have nothing that corroborates Catherine wrote that letter. We have nothing to corroborate that those children are going to be. Now, remember, months ago, somebody broke rank and said Charles was going to be at the Trooping of the Colour. And then it all kicked off and they went, whoa, the royal household said, hang on, we never said that. We never said that. Who said that to you? Thought we had a press release. No, he didn't. So he's not. And then kind of slowly but surely, the king will be at the Trooping of the Colour. And the photos were taken by press. They were taken by a member of the public. At Windsor Farm Shop. I agree. But where we're getting to now is 170 days. That's over 6 months. Close to. That Catherine hasn't been seen, and neither has Louis or Charlotte. The pictures that have been taken of the kids were taken last year. The AI wasn't a video. It was generated by AI. It might have been even generated by the 77th. But we're coming up to a week. And it was always going to be thus, that the royal family were going to be very, very, very busy over the summer. Very busy. And poor Camilla, the Queen Consort. Oh no, they've dropped the consort, haven't they? So it's Queen Camilla. I can't call her the Queen, because Queen Elizabeth was always my Queen. But I'll happily call Camilla Queen Camilla. She's doing everything. I mean, where did Edward go to? Because he disappeared for 10 days for no apparent reason. And then Anne pops up at the D-Day commemoration. But Anne is one of those that literally just does what she wants. And what a fabulous royal she is. She's a busy royal. But Catherine and William, they'd organised a trip to Italy in January, and then were told they're not going to Italy because it was never arranged. But an abdominal operation was always planned for Catherine. Foxtrot Oscar. So I'm just sitting, loving the drama of it all, the chaos, and how it's normally, if something happens, you have a golden hour. Whether it's 9/11 or 7/7, it's always a golden hour. You have 60 minutes, and then after 60 minutes, it's crisis managed by the press and whomever, but it's always crisis managed after 60 minutes. You can only ever, as I've said to you many times, what's the first casualty of war? The truth. So the fog of war obliterates the truth within 60 minutes. I'm just looking forward to seeing how they crisis manage this trooping the colour, as they did with the wedding over the weekend. They've reported it in the press, but not one newspaper has said, "Where's Wally?" And not necessarily, "Where's Wally? What's happened to her?" and her kids. Now, I can't see that Catherine's going to go to Willie, "Here, up yours, mate. I'm off with the kids." "Oh, stuff you. I'm off with the kids." Well, I don't care what you've been doing with whomever. Peggy Sue, Peggy. I don't care. I don't care. I'm taking the kids. Stuff you. There's loads of billionaires in the world. There's tech billionaires I can get married to. Don't think that's happened, do you? But then again, wasn't it the Prince What's-His-Face from Monaco? His bride, the South African. It all went a bit weird, that. Can you remember that? Where she was kind of like a bit starey-eyed when she was in public with him, didn't want to touch him, and then was in South Africa for 6 months and didn't want to go back to Monaco. I mean, we're talking about the elites. We're talking about stuff. Grace Kelly too. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Lottie. Oi, Lottie. Another one. GB Patriot, Peggy and Willie. To Amalia. Just looked Mark Wiens up. I'll watch if it comes up on my feed, but it won't be something I'll go looking for. My baklava is lush. Ooh. Second only to Battenberg, Amalia. So let's do a bit of... So we'll wait and see what happens this week. I have no idea what they're up to because they won't tell us. But you can always tell when something is going on when the press don't report anything. So like when Ginger Sphericals went off to the Middle East and there was nothing for like 9 months. And I was thinking, he's normally in the press, loads, all over the place. But he wasn't. He was playing his PlayStation. And the press were told, please don't report that because it'll compromise his safety and his security. And then he comes out and says, "Oh, yeah, I killed 25 Taliban." Honestly, somebody should have given that boy a slap. So we'll keep an eye on it. And I promise you, I don't think the two youngest children of the Walesers will actually be at the trooping of the colour. They might not show anything to do with the kids. But if they don't, they did last year when Willie was taking the salute. That's not a euphemism either. So let's talk about some of the showbiz stuff, just to kind of encapsulate it. Because I suppose I'm going to have to talk about... I'd rather stab my eyes out. Taylor Swift. We'll talk about that in a moment. But have you seen this? Channel 4 are doing a 3-parter this week. But have you seen on Netflix this parachute murder plot? Watched it yesterday. It's as weird can be. I mean, it's a great little watch, but it's only, I think, 45 minutes or so. But basically, can you remember the story about the army guy who and he was found guilty in a court of law for this, so I can say this, who tampered with his missus's parachute, and she fell 4,000 feet out of an aeroplane, and both of her parachutes failed, and she hit the floor. Thankfully, it was a newly ploughed field, so it was kind of softer than hitting concrete, and she survived and is still alive. But this parachute murder plot on Netflix is worth having a look, because even the hardened cops who were dealing with the case, you could tell that they kind of knew they'd never come across anything like this. And the army guy, they showed, so the first trial, they got it to trial, it was all there, they were really confident that they were going to get, obviously the CPS had a look at it, Crown Prosecution Service, Keir Starmer, is he scaring you yet? And they've had a look at it and gone, oh, yeah, we'll get a conviction. And the main witness, the wife, who fell 4,000 feet out of her plane, says, oh, no, I didn't know, I got that wrong, I might have miscalculated that, and literally the whole case just fell apart. So the cops went away, regrouped, got the case together, represented it, took it back to court, and he's away for 2 counts of attempted murder. And like 6 days before, he turned the gas on at home and left it. Yeah, Victoria Cilliers. Yeah, Terry. I mean, it's an incredible story. So it's worth a watch if you have access to Netflix. But if you don't, Channel 4 are doing a 3-parter this week. I think it might be over 3 consecutive nights. Not quite sure how they're going to eke that out into 3 parts. But it's just an incredible story. And he's being found guilty on 2 counts. I also watched, because we never get any time to watch anything, so it was a real treat to maybe have a couple of hours of just kind of take your brain out. The Footballer, the Wife and the Crash. And I literally still can't get my head around this. So basically, there was a footballer, J. Lloyd, something or other. It was kind of like, it was, you know, at the beginning it was, oh, we met and we got married and we had 3 kids. And he played for Villa, he played in the Premiership, and then he played for Cardiff, and then he had to go out to Iran to continue getting money, being paid to play football, and did very well in Iran, and got married to a second woman in Iran. Now I'm sort of watching this, thinking, how much hassle does this guy want? J. Lloyd Samuel, yeah. And I just thought, why would you want the nagging? Why would you want all that doing? I mean, honestly. But so he went to Iran. He played in Iran for 5 years. For 4 and a bit of them, he was married to this other woman, and he told this other woman, "Oh yeah, I'm just getting a divorce." Now, technically, under Sharia law, he could marry the woman in Iran and still be married to the woman in the UK. I mean, it's a proper noodle scrambler. And he then kind of finished his footballing career and was doing deals. He was doing diamonds and golds, and he was buying and selling and buying and selling. And there were some pictures of him opening bags of diamonds that evidently were worth a fair bit of money. And then he got done out of a huge amount when he was trading some gold. So he bought the gold from someone, paid them, and then found that the gold didn't exist. When he was struggling financially, they lost £500,000 on a house, on one house. But, you know, he was earning 15-20 grand a week for some, I think possibly at Cardiff. So he was earning, proper earning. And then the wife goes out to Dubai, where he's doing all of his deals. And something's gone on, and his mother and the Iranian bride pitch up. And the first wife has no clue. Literally has no clue that he's married to somebody else. Anyway, cut a very long story short. It's a very interesting watch if you want to watch it. He crashed his car and died. He died in flames. And I couldn't work it out because there's certain bits missing. So, sister of J. Lloyd Samuel had wanted the DNA from the body in the crash to prove that it was J. Lloyd, because some people believe that he's still alive. And when the wife said yes, and she said yes to the court told the sister, you have a window, you can get access to the body and take the DNA away for corroboration. Didn't turn up. Didn't get the professional people that need to do that, extract the DNA and then corroborate the DNA. Didn't. So they're saying that the body in the car wasn't necessarily J. Lloyd. The wife says, I'm grieving my husband, and these people are saying this about my husband? I don't know. I can't make my mind up. Yeah, exactly. As Aroka Redia says, is this the Elvis that's driving the E39 in Coventry? Yeah. I mean, who would benefit from his disappearance? Not Elvis's, J. Lloyd's. And at the end of the documentary, there's more questions than answers. Today is the 10th anniversary of Rick Mail passing away. And I remember Rick Mail as being one of the greatest comedians we've ever produced. Is that a canoe in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? Captain Flashheart. And I remember Kevin Turvey. Don't know whether you can remember Rick as Kevin Turvey. Kevin Turvey. Cliff. Are you really a Cliff? Cliff. Wonderful. And he was aged just 56 when he passed away. I mean, I just thought he was wonderful. And have you ever looked at the lyrics? I mean, I know it's a Cliff Richard song, but it's still a song and a poem. Have you ever actually looked at the poetry of The Young Ones, the song? Once in every lifetime there comes a love like this. It's just, I might recite it a little bit later. Once in every lifetime comes a love like this. Oh, I need you and you need me. Oh, my darling, can't you see? Young dreams should be dreamed together, and the young hearts shouldn't be afraid. And someday while the years have flown, darling, then we'll teach the young ones of our own. That, I mean, for a Cliff Richard song, to be fair, that's pretty deep. And it's the 10th anniversary today. I just wanted to mention him because I know quite a few people are intelligent enough on this channel that watch this channel to have been a fan. Here's the thing. It's the myth to we. Do you know what I'm talking about? Toya. She signed up to do this year's Strictly. It's the myth to we to me. Can I talk about Taylor Swift if I have to? I just want to mention it because her Eras tour has kicked off. Now, seemingly, each show lasts 3.25 hours. 3.25 hours of the same dirge. Alan Bastard, that was a great character. I agree with you. Who said that? Rexan, thank you. A great character. I mean, if all of the characters that he's played, including Bottom, which I thought was wonderful, and the Young Ones, which I thought was amazing. At the beginning of the Young Ones, I had to be dragged kicking and screaming to watch it. Because I was like, well, what's this? And then you watch it and you think, ooh, this is very clever comedy. Very, very clever writing. So Rick Mail is very much missed in my house, certainly. Amalia, did she? I mean, I remember she was kind of around about the Sex Pistols. Because she was in the film, The Filth and the Fury, the Sex Pistols film. And then goes on to have like pop hits, which were to be fair, extraordinarily good. That hairstyle, though. And then she's just doing Robert Fripp's her partner, isn't he? And they just do the kind of Sunday lunch with Robert and Toya. But good on her. Good on her. It'll do her profile the world of good. So, Taylor Swift. 3.25 hours. I mean, are you really going to hold it in for 3.25 hours and not go pee? Can you imagine, like 50,000 people at Murrayfield Stadium? And some of her shows, even though they're 3.25 hours long of the same dirge, I was going to say to you, can you name any of her biggest hits? Because I can't. Very good. Very good, Tablet Tracy. There you go. Nobody can name any of the... I'm so glad that the audience to this channel is not necessarily Taylor Swift fans. But some of the shows have gone on for 30 minutes longer. That's like nearly 4 hours. Nearly 4 hours. My ears would be bleeding. I literally would be banging my head off a brick wall going, please make it stop. Please make it stop. I couldn't. I know. She's not exactly Dusty Springfield, is she? Now, there's a voice. Or Petula Clark. Now, according to... I laughed uproariously at this morning. Because you know this Eamon Holmes and Ruth thing. Because it is a thing now. But it's not really a thing. It's just a couple of oldies deciding they want a divorce. Or is it? Because today in the Sunday Sun... Ruth has found some secret messages from Eamon to an unnamed woman. And there's like a picture of Eamon in front of this car with this woman in the driver's seat. And I was like, whoa, you dirty dog. Have you been... I mean, I know he's got a bad back, so he's not going to be doing it very quickly. But Ruth's found out. And all I can conclude is that Ruth's found out, and well, what can I say? Eamon, you dirty dog. I mean, I had a friend of mine, quite a close friend of mine. We went out for a beer one Friday night, and he went, I've got something to tell you. I was like, right, okay, you're pregnant. It's like, no. I've got you to thank for me marriage. Like, I wasn't there. I wasn't even there when you got married. He said, no. So the dirty dog had been away, dancing away. Missus and a couple of kids. He'd been dancing away. And I said to him, what are you doing, man? Pull your pants back up, put it back in, pull your zip up and get back home to your missus and your 2 kids. You don't want to be destroying their lives, do you? He's like, oh, well, all my mates have said, whoa, go on, stud. And I was like, it's not about that, man. It's about you making a catastrophic mistake and you ruining your kids' lives. Oh, no, well. So he about a week or 2 later, disappeared off. And I'm kind of sanitizing some of this because obviously this is YouTube. But then a couple of months later, he credited me with just giving him the kick up the backside that he needed to go back to his missus and his kids and not just make this mistake by going off with this woman. Now, I met this woman a little later. She wasn't best happy with me because I think she must have found out somehow. And it was like, you know when you look at somebody and it's unsaid what's going on between you? She knew that Curzle Flyers. Little does he know that I know that she knows that I know that she knows she's 2-timing him. Or whatever the title was called, Curzle Flyers. Great song. But it was like, I looked her in the eyes and she knew I knew. And I knew that she knew that I knew. But I never said to her, because she pitched up. The wife got on a bus to go to work. And the wife gets off the bus and this woman's waiting for her and gives her a letter. And the wife goes, Who are you? And what's that? She says, oh, it'll explain everything in the letter. Well, I don't want the letter. What is it? She said, well, I can't say here. It's in public. And the wife says, well, I'm going to work. So I took the letter, got back home later in the day and said to the hubby, what's this? What do you mean, what's this? Some woman's doorstepped me getting off the bus this morning, handed me a letter. Obviously, his sphericals disappeared. But anyway, it's a bit weird what human beings do. There's not as queer as folk, to use the old adage, but I still think that the husband and wife are together, and the bit on the side was always going to be a bit on the side and not the main squeeze. But let's get to some US politics, because I've been waiting all day. I can't stop laughing at the absolute shit show, pun intended, that is American politics and what's going on in America. Because you know the Trump verdict, the recent Trump verdict in court is going to could possibly be reversed. Is a mistrial imminent? What am I talking about? I don't know whether you're aware of this, but one of the jurors, a cousin of one of the jurors, one of the jurors has posted on Facebook, and no, let me get this right. So a cousin of one of the jurors posted on Facebook and said, my cousin is a juror. And 2 days before Trump was convicted, seemingly, they said, Trump's getting convicted. So now the judge has come out and said, Judge Merchant's come out and said, right, we're going to have a look at this. Could be a mistrial. So all these people in America, all these politicians going, oh, he's a convicted felon. No, we can't trust a convicted felon. And it's a bloody mistrial. So they're going to have to go through the whole rigmarole again. That, I doubt, is going to happen this side of the American presidential elections. So it could be that a serving president is being tried. Oh, I mean, it's just a mess. It is a mess. The Democrats will move heaven and earth so that Trump will not become president again. But I'm telling you, a Facebook post 2 days before the Donald was convicted saying he's going to get convicted. It throws it all up in the air. It's a mess, a mess, a mess. And that's what they get for being corrupt in America. America's just eating itself. Been watching it for months, being highly entertained by it. But, and talking about President Poopy Pants, did you see what Joe Biden did at the D-Day commemorations? I mean, he stood there, didn't know where he was, thought there was a chair behind him so he could sit down, literally bends over, and then all of a sudden, playing the trumpet, playing the brown trombone. And this is the president of the United States of America. This is the leader of the free world, shitting his pants. And there's Dr. Jill Biden. She's had to take him away, like, Mr. President, come with me. Darling, come with me. Because he's pooped his pants. Now, as I said, we should have sent him a Battenberg, a free Battenberg. Bend over, Blackadder. Brilliant. And it was, I mean, this presidency, Joe Biden, it's like being tied to a chair, watching a toddler play with a loaded pistol. I mean, he's the eyes of the world are on him. And you can, if you look at Emile Macron, he's kind of, who I say, has the president just shit himself? En français, obviously. And then his missus, who's like, she's not going to go anywhere near President Biden because she's wearing white. Can you imagine the stains on her coat and her dress? She's not going to go anywhere near it. And poor Emile could hear what was going on. He's just filling his incontinence pants Now, this is not me mocking the afflicted, not by anything. Who's that? Alan? No. Stuart? Adrian? Please don't start me laughing again, please. It was funny. He's literally, I mean, if I could do it on camera here, I would. He kind of just bent over. And it was obviously, he decided just to give it a bit of extra. It must have been touching cloth. And he's just gone, oh, I say, Jill. Can we smuggle this one out? My incontinence pants are a bit full now. Oh, apologies, Rexanne. I'm not going to put you off your supper. But I can't stop laughing. I literally, the leader of the free world, filling his incontinence pants in front of. Now, I don't know whether you've seen it, but there's a video on my ex of him doing this, and you can see all the veterans behind him. None of them. So he loses it and decides to salute somebody, some imaginary friend in the audience, and none of them return the salute. None of the vets return the salute. Not one of them. So even the old boys know what's going on, because, you know, they're old and infirm and it might be happening to them, but at least they were sitting down. President Poopy Pants. Can you imagine them trying to give him? So I'm going to make a prediction for you. Karina Jade. Keeping on the ball. Welcome to the body of the Kirk, Karina Jane, as ever. So they can't get him in for a second term. Can you imagine? The man's barely alive. He literally can barely put one foot in front of the other. I mean, he probably squelches when he walks. So here's a prediction for you. They're just going to say he's not well enough. And hang on, who's talking French to me? Holly Ruston. They're going to say he's too infirm. As well-meaning as he is, he's President of the United States. He's the 46th. Who are they going to put up in his place? They want Big Mike. What do you mean you don't know who Big Mike is? You don't know who Big Mike is? Michelle Obama. That's one of the theories online. Michelle's called Big Mike. Yeah, somebody said, who's that? Alan says, send him to the nursing home. He's ready. I agree. But obviously Jill Biden she wants another 4 years. Oh, yeah, man. Look, Joe, just shove a bung up your backside. Whenever you're in public, it'll be fine. Oof, can you imagine? But President Poopy Pants, it's like he's going to go down in history. But whether we last much longer as a race. But can you imagine? Like they haven't quite had 250 years yet. But even 200 years ago, have they ever got a president where they would call him President Poopy Pants? Oh, President Kamala Harris. Oh, can you imagine? Hillary Clinton. Oh, she'd be apoplectic with rage. How very dare Kamala Harris become the first woman president when I wanted to be first woman president? Should have had a word with Billy. You were rough. I've just thought of a top gag. Can't. Rexanne's eating a supper. So it's all, American politics is literally, it's a clown show. And I know that they, what do they call it? Politics is entertainment for ugly people. But Joe Biden, Hunter Biden. Have you seen that there's hardly any reportage about Hunter Biden's trial? And here's the thing. So I was talking about, people having affairs and like showbiz documentaries talking about affairs and things. Hunter Biden, his brother died, and then he starts, Freudian slip, he starts dancing with his brother's missus and then gets her hooked on crack cocaine. And then she was in court on Friday. Oh, they haven't reported that, have they? The detail of Hunter. Now, I'm going to try and get this piece of video into a video on the channel. Not quite sure whether I'll be successful. It might have to happen on X. But Hunter Biden was in a hotel room, and this video shows him chasing his ex-peccadillo along the corridor and then dragging her back by the ankle on the floor. And nobody paid the blindest bit of notice. And you just think, how did he get away with that? He's a crackhead. But he's there because he's, I had a gun, shouldn't have had a gun. Let's get on to Rich Boy. Because even though that the US politics is just, it's comedy. It is comedy. Now, I know that people say all comedy is tragedy, if you want to get deep on it. But this comedy is just, like, he can't stand there for longer than like 60 seconds before he's doing either something weird or he's doing something that he shouldn't, or there's these noxious fumes, or there's little squeaky things, little body burps, and he's, no, man, no, he's not in control. Barack's in control, but the Obama family need Big Mike to be president so that Barack can have a fourth term as president. Yeah, Sniffer Joe. I mean, I think, because you can see Jill Biden kind of go, oh, Joe, you haven't soiled your pants again. So she's got a hand in front of her mouth. Oh, Joe, you haven't, have you? What do you mean? Where are we? What time is it? Oh, come with me, Joe. Come with me. We'll change your pants. We'll put a diaper on you. It's just, like I say, I'm not mocking the afflicted, but this is the leader of the free world. And he's in politics. I mean, I don't even know whether it's a doppelganger. I don't even know whether it's the real Joe Biden, President Joe Biden. They might be using somebody else who's also infirm and needs to stick a bung up his backside. Oh, I don't know. But I want to talk about death by dull, Rich Boy, Slippery Sunak. Let's talk about D-Day. And this is, I'm not going to go into the detail because what he did is unforgivable. What he did was unacceptable, unforgivable, and literally shows us he doesn't give a flying about this country. He doesn't give a literally two cahoots. And now he's going for Tory basic. So he's now saying, oh, all the youth are slackers and they need to be off benefits. I'm going to save £12 billion and get all the slackers off benefits. I can't accept more young people parked on benefits. That's what he said today. Now, he's cancelled all of his media interviews because you know what's going to happen, don't you? Here, Prime Minister, what'd you leave France for? You tart. The whole country's upset with you. You disrespected those that fought for our freedoms. You couldn't hang around long enough. And what I firmly believe is that his team are sacrificing him. His team are literally setting him up for failure. Look at when he announced there's going to be a general election. Nobody gave him a brolly. Nobody stood there with a brolly next to him. He was in the rain and everybody was like, hang on a second, he's the Prime Minister. Why didn't he have a brolly? Why didn't somebody put a canopy out of shot over him so he didn't get soaked? Because his team evidently don't care. I mean, we've got the announcement of national service. So he loses all the under 25s as voters because they're going to go to Labour, if anything, or may go to Reform. But the national service has gained him a whole load of votes over 40. And when he's saying, oh, we'll get the slackers off the sofa, we'll get the slackers out of bed, we'll get all the kiddywinks, 16, 17 and 18-year-old, stuff them, we'll get them back into work. But this is the Tories. These are the hang 'em high party. And there's so many election mistakes. So many. His own team are setting Rich Boy Sunk up for utter humiliation. Now, as I've already said, D-Day is unacceptable. What he did was completely unacceptable. Saying sorry is not good enough. It's like just going through life and making all these mistakes and being set up by your team and then saying, sorry. He couldn't even gauge the national temperature before agreeing to do the media interview. It was ITV. What the bloody hell did he want to go and speak to them for? Could have gone to Scove. Now, I don't know whether you saw the 7 head-to-head thing on Friday on the BBC. I watched it all, and I will say this to you. I want to talk about the Labour Party in a moment. But I'm not anti any politician. I'm not anti any political party. I'm sick and tired to my back teeth of the system, the corruption, the political parties, the political classes, and a lot of the politicians. Sick and tired of all of them. They can't come out and go, oh yeah, well, we've got some great ideas. Oh no, look, you've had time and time and time again. You've had enough opportunities to actually put this right. You've had enough opportunities to be able to put the country first. I don't give a flying about your party. I don't give a... Remember when Rich Boy had the Stop Oil protest outside of his Richmond constituency home? Oh, the amount of protection that house got. That's North Yorkshire Police. How many officers they had patrol Rich Boy's home in Richmond. And he can't stay. And then some mealy-mouthed idiot says, oh, yeah, well, the interview was arranged weeks ago. Well, somebody obviously doesn't look at how it would look. And how it would look is that the boy needs to resign now. I don't care about politics. I don't care whether it's 3.5, 4 weeks away from a general election. Go. We've had enough of you. We've had enough of your crookedness. We've had enough of you saying, oh, well, it's me wife. It's not me. It's me wife. 120 million in the last year. How does that pan out then? People are hungry and homeless, and you, in your, 2,000, 3,000, 50,000 pound suits, I'm being facetious. And the political classes are all the same. They're all in it for their own, yes, I know so-and-so, and yes, yes. Like the Labour Party. Do you think the Labour Party is called the Labour Party? No, it's not. Like retro. The Labour Party is called the Democratic Socialist Party. Don't you know that? The Democratic Socialist Party. But obviously they can't call them that in the press because people go, hang on a second, that's almost Marxism. There's no Marxists left in the Labour Party. Let me tell you. My dad was somewhere left of Lenin. This was the idiot that tried to stop Nissan going to Sunderland. How did that work out? Caring, understanding, 90s type. But the Labour Party is actually called the Democratic Socialist Party. Now, Starmer tried to call it the Social Democratic Party. Hang on a second. The Social Democrats, wasn't that the Gang of Four? This is the Democratic Socialist Party putting people first. 100 years ago. Biggest donators to the Democratic Socialist Party. Betting shops. I mean, there's the Welsh leader. They're arguing over him receiving £200,000 in donations. He's not going to give it back. Oh, don't be silly. So they're like, oh, yeah, vote with no confidence, get rid of him. So Rich Boy, he promises everything, delivers nothing, and blames everybody else. Can't blame everybody else for this. This is too far, too much, and he needs to go. So then I thought, well, hang on a second. It was the Parliamentary Conservative Party that voted him in. They wouldn't allow the Conservative Party members from around the country that voted Liz Truss in. They wanted Rich Boy in because it was a death match. We reported it on this channel. The death match between Rich Boy and Bojo the Clown. The electorate did not vote him into Prime Minister. The Conservative Party members did not vote him into number 10. The Parliamentary Conservative Party voted him into number 10. And now they're reaping what they sowed. So the rumour started this morning. Rich Boy had cancelled all of his media interviews, so he was going to fall on his sword. So Westminster was full of, if he falls on his sword, it's going to cause chaos. And there's Penny Mordaunt. I watched it all, so you didn't have to. Nigel Farage, yeah, I think he gave a good fist of it. He actually gave good numbers, and he was just a character. But right at the very end, two of them made a massive muck-up. Massive. Angela Rayner, I wish I could tell you here what I'm hearing, but I can't. I literally cannot. But what I'm hearing is very interesting, and I can't even give it to you in code. I might one day, when I haven't mentioned her name. But right at the very end of this leadership debate, when the credits were running, now it had got quite heated between Penny Mordaunt and Angela Rayner. I mean, it was brilliant. Angela Rayner turns to her left, smiling, offers to shake Penny Mordaunt's hand, who is also smiling. And I thought to myself, hang on a second, you two should be daggers drawn. You two should be like, here, up yours, yeah, outside, now. Take your jacket off, let's get into it. I'll pull your hair out. Because that's how it was when they were having a go at each other. But when the credits were rolling right at the very end, it's there for you to see. If you go and watch it on the BBC iPlayer, which you can, you'll see it right at the very end. Angela Rayner turns next to Penny Mordaunt as if Penny Mordaunt is her best mate. Yeah, you're not going to have me say anything now. I'm not. Yeah, it should have been. Ding, ding. Round 1 or round 2 or round 3. Take your wigs off. Go for it. Equality. Women can fight as much as men. It's equality. But they didn't. They were like best mates. So this is what I believe. This is my final thought. And this is what I believe is happening. There's going to be a national piss shortage due to the government taking it all. I quite like being an iconoclast. Rayner and Mordaunt shaking hands under the credits on the BBC on Friday. No, unacceptable. But the political classes, they thought it was a jolly wheeze. Let me tell you what's going on. If Rich Boy falls on his sword, it'll be glorious, but chaos. And I believe this, all of it, is theatre. It's a distraction, and it's theatre from what? So Keir Starmer, is he scaring you yet? Because you should be scared witless of that man. I'll tell you for why. Because Europe needs this sceptred isle to bolster them with all of our billions. So it's Brexit, Jim, but not as we know it. And the reason why Rich Boy wants to obliterate the Conservatives, because there's young Farage saying we want to be the opposition. Controlled opposition, obviously, because Tice is worth a few bob. Farage is worth a few bob. And they will come out of Parliament, if they get in, richer than they went in. And I believe that Rich Boy is literally killing off the Tory party so that Labour has 2 terms. No matter how bad they are, they will never be as bad as the Tories the last 14 years. And that's how they're going to sell it to you. Now, there's a new immigration report, but I believe, and we'll get to that in a moment, but I believe that the Tories are over. As a political party, they're done, because I don't think they have enough trust from the electorate. I don't believe that there's enough trust or wherewithal for any of them to be able to put a party together. So we've had Project Fear, we've had Project Immigration Lies, we've had Project Get GB back into European Super Union, and never let them leave again. We will never get this opportunity. Now, whether you are for or against, I'm not saying this for a debating point. I'm saying to you that if you tolerate this, your children will be next. And they are so pissed off at me and you for allowing us to leave the European Super Union. I remember Ted Heath, pervert. I mean, I don't think that anybody in the Westminster bubble, have any idea of the enormity of what is about to happen. They're running all these polls. And people are not going to tell the pollsters the truth. The only time that they will tell the pollsters the truth is if their conscience allows. I'm talking about the electorate. So on Wednesday, no, we'll leave that for a moment. So I just believe that Sunak has been put into killing off the Tory party because they want Labour, irrespective of how bad they're going to be, they want them to be in power for 8 years to get us over the line of 2030. Now, are you aware of Agenda 21? Shame there are people that have left this particular live. Because if you don't know Agenda 21, you're going to need to know. And I'm going to tell you right now. Agenda 21 is the master plan from the United Nations to change the political and economic system of the world to collectivism. You may know it as globalism, but it's collectivism. And to do that, people must not be allowed to have any form of independence. None. This is Agenda 21. It's been around for 25 years that I'm aware of. Because collectivism means that the powers that be want everyone dependent on the state for everything. You can't have private money, mostly, or own your own land. They want you to live in high-rise apartments that are provided by the state as a benefit because you're kowtowing to the state. You're doing as you're told. Now, you may know it as 15-minute cities. Again, it's just a distraction from actually what's going to go on. People at the top of the pyramid want those at the bottom to be dependent on the largesse of state. China. Agenda 21 want no one to live in the countryside, say, with a couple of acres of land, so they have their own water supply or able to grow their own food, maybe have some sheep or cattle or chickens. People that have independence threaten collectivism or globalism, if you wish. They want people to go to the politicians and say, please clothe me, please feed me, please give me shelter, the basics for any human. Now, the corporations are going to sit outside of the cities growing the food. Have you seen Bill Gates and the stuff he's putting on the apples and food? So in order to control mankind, it's going to be rack 'em and stack 'em in cities. High rises. But I just think Grenfell. And that's why they're controlling the power and the utilities and the water. And you think that you have control? You think that by giving you the choice of one party or another party that you have control? You haven't for over 50 years. I'm sure your mum and dad might have told you that. And when we came out of the Second World War, no. No one's got the power. It's called Agenda 21. It's called collectivism. Other people might know it as globalism. And I know that, as I said at the beginning of this live, for some gags and some funnies and some jokes, because when we had the pandemic in 2020, nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew how it was going to span out, but we were told 6 weeks. And I'm going to ask you straight questions. Do you think it lasted 6 weeks? I know the answer. No, it didn't. And you can see, I've tried through these lives to kind of give you an insight so that you can try and protect yourselves and so that you can try and protect your families in some way, shape or form. But they have to make sure that you're poor. They have to make sure that you rely on the state for everything. And like they were talking about, I think it was on Tuesday night when Sunak and Starmer were having a go at each other, and Sunak was saying, oh, he's going to tax the pensioners, he's going to tax the pensioners. Well, soon enough, the pension, the top rate pension is about 11,700. It's not going to be long before the pensioners cross the threshold of non-paying tax threshold for any workers. So was it 12,575? 12,575 is the point where you start paying 20% tax. The pensioners are already at 11,700. It's only 800 quid away from the pensioners paying tax. So technically it's a truth, technically it's not. And just remember, it wasn't a pandemic, it was an IQ test. I mean, I have no idea why people took 5 experimental jibber jabbers in 24 months and now are shocked that people are dying suddenly. And for your information, because this is not being reported, the governor of Oklahoma has signed a bill exempting the state from the World Health Organization and the United Nations madness. Now, Bill 426 goes into effect immediately and makes it illegal for the World Economic Forum and any of its operatives to push their collectivist agenda in Oklahoma. So there are already states in America that have gotten the game. They've got the eye on the game and they're absolutely not up for playing. And then right on cue, H5N2 bird flu. I'll tell you what they're not telling you. Yes, a man died in Mexico. Let me give you the facts. He was bedridden for weeks in prison. He was morbidly obese. He had type 2 diabetes, had complete renal kidney failure, had no contact with chickens or birds, and yet somehow somebody decided to test him for bird flu? Is that disease X? Now bring it back to the political situation in this country and the political situation in America. You're being done. They're bending you over and laughing at it. And you don't get it? Is that because Britain's Got Talent's on? Or you believe what the politicians are saying in these head-to-heads? Don't! Use this! Do your own research. I always look out for you. Always. And I try to bring you integrity and honesty because there's very little of that left in the world. I mean, even the BBC wokery. That the BBC, you can always trust them to come up with some BS. So, have you seen the latest episode of Doctor Who? So not only do they get a woman as Doctor Who, and now they've got men kissing men on Doctor Who. I'll never watch it. I loved that program. I loved it with a passion. Daleks scared the bejesus out of me. But I'm not going to watch that. It's too woke for me. It doesn't speak to me. There are subtleties within it that you can watch and observe and maybe get. But I'm not going to... I mean, I could go into an absolute massive spherical rant here. But it's just... I don't know how to get this across to you. I've told you about Agenda 21. I've told you that, as George Carlin said, you've got owners. You have owners. And they're deciding what you're going to do. I've told you about Agenda 21. It's a really simple concept. And they want to own you, own the world, and decide what you can and can't do. Now, if they try the same, for example, if they try the same thing that they did with the pandemic, and the WHO says, oh, you can't fly, you can't do this. What is it going to take for the collective or the individual to turn around and say, here, mate, Foxtrot Oscar? They're not interested. And the depopulation of the world, what do you think they want that for? Because the smaller mankind, the easier it is to control. That's why they want depopulation. What do you think World War III, it would legitimize wiping out millions? Why do you think they're trying to get Putin into a war? I've told you what the war's all about. I've told you it's about Crimea and the oil and the gas under Crimea. Russia have got control of Crimea. Turkey have got the south of the Black Sea, as well as Bulgaria on the east of the Black Sea. But Russia wants it. They want the gas with China out of the frozen tundra in the north of Russia. They wanted the oil and the gas out of the Caspian Sea, so they worked with the Americans since literally a week after 9/11. That 9/11 was all about getting the oil out of the Caspian Sea. And then getting into Iraq to control the oil wells in Iraq. Anybody that produces oil in Iraq seemingly was working at less than 10% of capacity when America went in. So, but I get that a lot of this information is not nighttime reading. It's not easy and palatable. But if you think you've got any choice with these clowns on July 4th, get out and vote. Do not sit there on your lazy fat arse and do nothing about it. Oh, I'm going to spoil my vote. Why? Explain to me why you would spoil your vote. Why would you write not in my name? I don't consent. They don't care. And what's coming is worse than you can possibly imagine. This channel was first with the Ben Gurion Canal and the oil and gas under Gaza and the East Mediterranean Sea. This channel was first with telling you about Crimea and what they were up to in Ukraine. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But I want you here for every live, because every single day I look at the media, I look at all of it, and I don't sugarcoat it, I give it to you straight. Please tell your friends. Please tell everyone that you know. I'm literally earning nothing from this channel, but I have my integrity intact. This channel is a kernel, and this channel is for freedom and choice and you determining how you want to live your life. But these clowns that you're putting in, I even told you ages ago. Why do Agenda 21, the people at the top of the pyramid, why do they want to subjugate a smaller population? Just remember, they found billions for Ukraine. Billions! Even Bojo the Clown went out there. Why does Zelensky always wear fatigues? Does that make him look like he's in the army. He's a head of state, for goodness sake. Why doesn't he wear a suit, the prat? So the governments in this country, the governments in around the world, around Europe and in America, they found billions and billions and billions of dollars and pounds and euros for Ukraine. But they couldn't find any money for the homeless and the hungry. They want the forever war. And you know what they're going to do in the forever war? That's why they want Putin. That's why they want Putin. He's the bogeyman. He's the bad man. Well, actually, Tucker Carlson blew that out the water. He's a very clever boy. But all of these old men are coming to the end of their natural. And they're trying to goad Putin into a forever war. And look, they want a forever war that is so terrible where nuclear weapons are used. So that people will get down on their knees and they will beg the politicians for no more war. And what will the answer be to that? You'll be told the only way we can guarantee no more war is if we destroy the sovereignty of nations. And we come together as one humanity in a one world government. Gosh! It's coming. Keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, because that will keep you safe. Do not buy any of this BS that is being sold to you via the groove tube when it's head-to-head politicians or 7 of them on a Friday night who shake hands and smile at each other at the end when they don't think they're on camera and the credits are rolling. And then we've got those 2 clowns back again on Wednesday. I will always do my best for you. Always. But I don't take bullshit. And it's abounding. Now, I've told you a lot tonight. A lot. And maybe you have to re-watch this. But please spread the word. Please. If I ever disappear, you can re-watch these again, because I'm going to leave them up. So please, smash the likes on your way out again. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's live. Thank you for your likes, obviously your subscriptions. Please make sure that you subscribe for more videos and more lives where the truth will out. But thank you mostly for your indulgence. I wouldn't do this channel if it wasn't for you. I think we have a beautiful community on a Sunday and a Wednesday who we might not agree all of the time, but you know something? It's better to do that than have an echo chamber and get it all wrong. Thank you for being there tonight. My name's Adrian Allen, and whatever you do, see you Wednesday at 8. And don't forget the bat.